Welcome back, and this is the part of the week where we look back on the racing from the weekend. We look back on some of the eye catchers, some of the big races as well, and review those. And one of the, I've got one from the flat that I want to mention a bit later on as well. From the flat, yeah.
You know it's December, Pete. I know, all right?
But there's one of the all-weather on Friday. You've got to watch it, and you get it. But anyway, let's look back with you, Matt. Anything that caught your eye on Saturday, apart from late night at Newbury in the hotel?
Listen, I wasn't part of the competition. Yeah, women. Let's just make that clear. No, there was a race I particularly wanted to look at, really, from it's not an eye catcher, but it's a form point of view. And it actually was on Thursday, and it was the Grade 2 Novice Chase with Southfield Theatre. There was went off 11 to 4 on, and many may have thought was disappointed. I wasn't actually looking back through this form. Carrickmore won the race of Alan Kings. I'm more interested in looking back through the form. The race prior to that Carrickmore actually won was a horse run by Carol Desterar, won that race. And in third place was Return Spring that day. Return Spring came out and won a real nice race, beating Harry Fry's Highland Retreat, who's obviously was very high class, and there was lovely distance in. Now this Carol Desterar has got a handicap mark of 140. I think on my rating through those results, because I think Southfield Theatre ran its race that day. I just think it's.
You think it was a false price because of the trainer?
Yeah, and also trying to give £7 to that horse. I think this is going to turn out to be good form, but I would advise people to get that Carol's Desterar into your horse tracker, because I think that's seriously well handicapped.
Carol's Desterar.
Yeah, Desterar, and I see it's entered for the Welsh National.
Right. Okay. Interesting.
Miguel, anything stand out for you?
Well, a couple of horses out of Hennessy, and everyone's raving about the winner, which ran a good race. That's his Gold Cup. He will not be winning a Gold Cup. But a horse that finished about 6th or 7th, the Druid's Nephew.
We've got Mr. Sherwood on the phone. Just 1 second.
Still won't be. Even if
he has said that as well. He said he doesn't care if he doesn't win another race this season.
Mr. Sherwood, even if you brought back Jamie Osborne in the saddle, he will not win a Gold Cup.
He definitely wouldn't be Jamie Osborne now, I think.
He would not win a Gold Cup. But the horse that was very eye-catching was the Druid's Nephew. Got turned out a couple of weeks after finishing second to Sam Winner in quite a gruelling race at Cheltenham, and he totally missed the 6th fence, literally tried to take it home with him, fell to the back of the field, and Davy Russell just gathered him up, pulled him out wide of everything, and he literally just popped away, and you looked 2 fences out, he looked like he had a double handful on him. So he's got him back into the race after a very serious mistake that would have taken the stuffing out of him. Didn't quite see out the trip. But you've got to factor in that he did make that mistake earlier on. Without that, he might have run into a place, and he's run a brilliant trial for one of the nationals at the end of the year. Maybe not the Grand National, but the Scottish version would be right up his street, I think.
You said it was a couple. Was it the other one in the Hennessy?
No, not in the Hennessy. Well, on Sunday, I mean, obviously the Triumph Hurdle horse of Mullins, Calcare, was impressive.
What that was, when it was put in the cart, and it still won.
He looked like a right little speedster, jumped very accurately. I mean, obviously, there's no price for the Triumph now, but a horse that got beaten in another Grade 1, Apache Stronghold, the Noel Mead horse, he didn't jump very well, but if you look at the race properly, Gigginstown had the winner, Val Sir Lido, who jumped brilliantly, lovely ride from Brian Cooper, very impressive. So that's what everyone's going to look at. But Apache Stronghold, he was hassled all the way by Real Steel.
Yeah.
The same connections. I mean, very similar to like the Golden Freeze, Carville's Hill. He was just on him non-stop for the first 4 or 5 fences, put him out of his rhythm, and then he started just clipping the top, and he still finished second in a Grade 1 after being hassled for the lead. I think when they up him to 3 miles, he's going to be a serious tool.
It's probably run from the favourite, though, isn't it? The Tullow Tank.
I think he's scoped badly.
Really?
I wouldn't be surprised.
I think there's something not there.
The horse looked a bit slight in the pre-parade when we were there. I wouldn't say anything wrong with the horse. It wasn't walking funny, or anything, but just didn't catch my eye. I still backed it because the weight of money that was coming for it, still backed it. But you know,
if you would have backed it till it was odds on.
But well, the money came for it. That was the thing that disappointed. But I must say that the first race you mentioned about Calcare, I like that horse, and unfortunately the price has gone for the Triumph. Unsurprisingly so. Rich Ritchie wasn't too impressed with it when he walked past and we told him it was now 5. So he laughed. But the second horse there, Dibando, is not a hugely well-known trainer. Well, unless you really know your Irish stuff, it's Ross O'Sullivan. And I think this horse could be a real Fred Winter type. It loves good ground, and the ground there was nowhere near what the type of ground you should be getting at that time of year, I must say, in Ireland. It had been quite dry all week, but I think that one could go really well in the Fred Winter if it's allowed to take its chance, and not being a household name, you'll get a much better price at Cheltenham. Especially in these big races, you know, anything with Willie Mullins, it's halved in the price it should be. The other one to watch out for came in the bumper. You need to watch this bumper back. I couldn't get the video up for you guys before the show. This bumper was run at a very odd pace, to say the least. You had Tully's East that went off like an absolute bullet, and that caught my eye because it managed to stay on and retain and keep second place, and that looked near impossible. But the winner, Identity Thief, comes and finishes like a train to win this race. Gordon Elliott's horse for Giggerstown Stud was heavily backed from fours to even money. Willie's horse was backed in this one as well. Children's Story. Children's List, sorry, they both got beat. Pretty much not quite out of sight, but both got beat well. This horse, I think the kick it had, trainer said Henry de Bromley said it may go hurdling. If it goes to Cheltenham for a bumper, I would be on that possibly, but we'll see. It's difficult to call champion
what
bumper
was he
at this
called
stage.
again, this horse?
Identity Thief.
Identity Thief.
I think the ride was exceptional from the claimer as well, I must say. But if you watch it back,
and there's two good yards, as you said. Gordon Elliott one I think was like even money. I can't remember the name of it now.
Delegate.
Yeah, that's
Anita
right.
Carberry was put for the ride, and that was the talking horse of the track. That was the one horse everyone had.
Did you have it?
I had a horse that finished last in the bumper. It was Flasheen. It was 66 to 1 because I'd heard it done well in a schooling bumper.
Oh, right, okay.
Obviously I'd heard incorrectly because it finished 13th of 13.
Anything else catch the eye?
I thought another, a race, Conagry, after a long absence in the Grade 2. Actually, we both tipped it up here last week. I mean, the horse had been off since the King died. I mean, it was a real.
But it was justified because the owners of that tried to run it. Was it about a week before? Plumpton, and the vet. This is how ridiculous.
Very contentious, wasn't it?
Well, it shows how contentious it was because the vet is there a week. I mean, what the difference was within a week, I do not know. This is what this is what undermines horse racing in general. Is that? But anyway,
the second horse, Dow Akarov, David Pipes ran really well. Still think this horse is better at probably a stiff 2 miles. But more interestingly, when you look at the form, 15 lengths that Dow Akarov over the same distance was behind Champagne West. I mean, what a thumbs up that gave to that form. This Conagry was a real nice hurdler and promises to be a better chaser. And I just think Conagry will always go to win more of these races because what it does is jump, and it will put a lot of pressure on his rivals with his jump because they miss one, he'd be away.
It's the same stable as Carruthers, isn't it?
that's right.
Very similar type.
Really nice horse.
The only other thing I would say from this weekend is we saw a lot of shake-ups in the anti-post markets. New favourites emerging. Obviously, sadly, we lost what was the current favourite for the Supreme Novices, Alaise Combies, who suffered a really odd-looking injury and unfortunately couldn't
strange
be
watching
saved.
that back because Ruby had jumped 2 hurdles and pulled up.
Seemingly. We were watching it because nearly everyone in the owners and trainers bar was on it. Anti-post. This horse was meant to be something special. Cost £300,000. But
Before I go to you with the anti-post markets, I just want to give one eye catcher from Lingfield. And this is a horse called Matrash, Matrash. Now that was running first race I think at Lingfield on Wednesday. I went back a week, ridden by Shane Kelly, mile 2 furlongs. Just watch the race back and then tell me if that's not an eye catcher or not. It's not entered actually for any races in the next week, but one to keep your eye on, Matrash, Matrash. In terms of
what race is it entered in at Cheltenham?
No,
I thought we were talking about the jump. Sorry.
Just to be clear, this was running in a Class 6, 0 to 65.
Right.
Lingfield.
they all count. If it wins, they count.
Winner's a winner, I suppose.
How did we shake up the market?
Well, I'd say an interesting one for the Supreme Novices. Best price 16 to 1 was Nicholas Canyon that went and won that race, ex-flat horse, and it won a really good race potentially in Ireland usually. Willie had obviously pitched it in with the ill-fated horse that sadly died, and that was interesting. I also thought I was surprised that Irving got cut so dramatically for the Triumph Hurdle, given I know the one run that they had at Cheltenham didn't seem to suit. You probably agree that once a flat track,
absolutely, it's a speed.
It was a good win at Newcastle. Let's not beat around the bush. It was good, and the horse did it well. And Nick Schofield was very patient, and it was a confident ride. And it was Paul Nichols' 100th Grade 1, which was great to see.
A million miles away from a champion hurdle.
What about that Mullins horse on Friday that fell over 1 to 9? Was it Ona Dassault?
Ona
Dassault was. Do you know what? If you watch that race back though, the camera work is appalling because you actually sort of missed the fall because he's that far in front. If he just doesn't put in that novice mistake, the
It
horse.
shows how good for Tor was, though.
Yeah, definitely. But Ruby's come out in his column today and said the horse has never really fallen at home in its schooling, and he thinks it'll do the horse the world of good. It was a novice fall, and he probably had if anything, this horse is failing. Could be the fact that it likes to go off so fast, and they seem to let it, and it probably comes towards the end of the race a little bit tired and is not thinking. I almost would like to see them try if they could.
It was such an amazing
hold
shot. It was a
up.
fence ahead, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Literally.
I
The
mean-
camera sort of panned.
But Peter, if that
to
had
the-
not had that novice fall and won, what price would it have got smashed into? Whereas now, they haven't pushed it out dramatically. It's only out to 5 to 1. So you can't tell me that we think that's a big...
Will they run both in the Arkle? Surely not.
I would always be amazed if you see... He does it in certain races because he has to. If he doesn't have to, he won't.
He's got to run for Tor in the
Going
champion
back-
chase.
Going back to that, the fight in fifth, I mean, I think you're right. Irvine, I was thinking the horse perhaps wants a little bit further, but it clearly doesn't. I've changed my mind on that. I think he's...
There's a question for you on that race. If McCoy had been riding Aurora de Restreval, do you think it conceivably could have beaten Irvine? And what I mean by that is, the first time he rode it, he pushed it clear. And there was... And did you not get the impression that he didn't kick on 2 from home?
No, I think that Irvine, he had Ivan off the bridle actually when he let go never so well, and then he had him off. And then what was interesting is that on the line, they've hit the line, and it's a length and a quarter with actually Oro Destro getting back into Irvine. And I'm a big one for this. You roll the tape on, past the pull-up area, that Irvine Destro was shot 4 lengths clear of it and can't pull it up, where Irvine
right.
is come
Right, that's interesting.
to an end. So for me, that...
You've already got ridiculed for ridiculing Irvine. So
Not really.
Well, I know.
He's not ridiculed
No,
him.
I haven't.
No.
I met, funny enough, I met the owner. I spent a bit of time with the owner on Friday at Newbury, and he was like this with me, and I was like, "Oh, right." He said, "I've been watching you slagging my horse off." But no, he went up. So the owner went up to watch it, and we had a bit of a chat, and I think. And had a bit of banter, and kind of said that the horse I thought needed further and he thought was 2 mile, and now I come round to his way of thinking. But Oro Destreval, she is very, very good, and it won't be at this trip, it'll be over 2.5 miles.
Mare's Hurdle.
I've actually got the Mare's Hurdle markets in front of me, and you can get 5 to 1, because obviously we've had the news this week that Annie Power's got probably 10 weeks.
You have to be very quick, I'm afraid.
10 weeks, Annie Power. We wish her well. Willie's going to have to repeat the Quevega trip and get her to the festival fresh. I don't think she'll go.
Very quickly, we can't go to that show without talking about more of that. Cool Harden, Medina's was Cool Harden set such a strong pace. More of that one, more tongue tie.
I was delighted. I was on the straight forecast.
I saw that,
on
yeah.
all the family. We were all kind of we were all happy with leaving that. But no, it was very disappointing. What the form was worth, I don't know. I judged the race with more of that underperforming Cole Harden going off. Where's his heart on his
I think
sleeve?
Cole Harden 33 to 1 for the world hurdle ain't a bad inch rate.
I'm not sure what the form would be worth, and I think perhaps the winner sat at the back of the field and picked the pieces up late on.
He did. I mean, they said more of that. Didn't have race fitness, but even 1.5 miles out, McCoy was sitting low in the saddle, really
guys.
shoving.
Yeah.
I can't have this. More of that's now 4 to 1, and I think that's a good price. I think you can put a line through any horse. There's not one horse out there you can't tell me that you can't forgive one run.
No, you can, but
And I think in that market, 4 to 1.
I think that race
What
is
price is
crying
Cole
out.
Harden in that race?
I'm having to flick through the screen to
33s,
find
I
it.
think.
33s actually. As short as 16s in places, 33s, Pete. So that's
What
probably a
It's
decided.
out of the ballpark. What is Hurricane Fly for that?
You won't be that surprised.
He would
to see.
absolutely walk it.
You've got
Honestly.
20 to 1 if you think the
Look,
Hurricane
this
Fly would
horse
stay the
he's won.
distance.
He'll stay the distance. He's won multiple Grade 1s at 2.5 miles, even as a 3-year-old hurdler
Okay,
in
we're
soft
leaving
ground
that
in France.
Hurricane Fly for the world hurdle.
On a